guys, it's Jen, and today I have a super special guest, Molly Sims, supermodel extraordinaire. She has an amazing YouTube channel all about mom things, being a mom, and we have our little babies right here. This is ARIA.
This is Scarlett.
And today we wanted to share with you 10 secrets that nobody told you about having a baby.
We're gonna keep it real. We're gonna tell you 10 things that no one's gonna tell you.
At least nobody told us.
Nobody told us.
Let's go ahead and get into it. I have to talk about this because I swear to you, I had no idea about the hair loss and the regrowth. I mean, I feel like I've heard my girlfriends say like, oh yeah, after you have a baby, you have a bunch of hair that falls out because when you're pregnant, it stays in.
It stays in. It's
doesn't
actually,
fall
you're
out
like,
anymore.
God, it doesn't fall out, and it
So
looks really
thick.
full and pretty, and you're like, wow, it's like really growing. Like I got a haircut, and then I went back to get my color, and they were like, gosh, your hair's really grown. I'm like, I know, but then
3 months. 3
3
months
months.
postpartum. It's not just that it like casually falls
yeah,
out. and
it's
on
like
your
you look like in their drain. It's like full of hair in between your toes. It's like in your
falls-
brush, it falls out in like sheets. More importantly, it's also the hair loss, but it's like you said, the regrowth,
Oh my
the little
gosh.
hairs underneath it, down in the back of my hair, like when I wear my hair up in a I'm like, what is all that new hair? I continue to take my prenatal vitamins. I do think that really helps with the folic acid, and I would suggest, I don't know if you can take it when you're breastfeeding or not, taking it biotin.
You can, yeah. I think
This is
it's
also
better.
really good. Silica, anything that you can do to keep what you have, do it.
Everybody should have a donut pillow.
Wait, explain what the donut pillow is.
So I don't know that this is necessarily the case if you have a C-section. It might be a little bit different with a vaginal delivery. I
not.
had the baby vaginally, and I needed some extra cushion when I was sitting down, because I mean that's like, it's like a major sort of like surgery that you just went through having a baby, and things get a little sore.
I had a C-section, but I used a
Yeah.
donut pillow as well, just for the extra cushion, anything that like
Yes.
just helps the lower region of your body.
It's like the pressures.
But the pressure, it does help. I know it sounds really weird, but invest in a donut pillow. And if you don't know what it is, look it up because it's real. We're gonna divulge is number 3. It's breastfeeding. People don't tell you that you absolutely get famished when you're breastfeeding. It is a hunger, it is an obsession that it literally, your mind takes over. You are starving when you're breastfeeding. And I know that sounds weird, and I shouldn't probably talk about it because breastfeeding is so important, but I will tell you, for me, and I think you've had this experience as well, you are starving when you're breastfeeding.
You know, you hear about all the cravings when you're pregnant, but nobody tells you about the cravings you have after the baby
know.
comes out. And sometimes those cravings are weird too, because I think your body's just trying to tell you what the baby needs
I
at the
know.
time, which could be different, you know, in your first couple of months after you have a baby, and then your next couple of months when you're having a baby. It's like the hunger is super real.
It was so weird. I couldn't do really any fish while I had Gray. I don't know why, but every time
I was the same way.
I
couldn't
love
stand it.
I love fish. I could not stand it. I obsessively ate hummus and turkey, and I don't know why, but it totally flipped. I don't think I've had any turkey in 3.5 months. I used to eat it every single day of my life for 9 months. I eat salmon probably 5 times a week, and I did not eat fish for almost 9 months.
It's
Is
so
that not
crazy.
so weird?
It's so crazy.
So again, it goes back to the cravings. It goes back to that constant hunger. And I will say, you have to be careful. Like, yes, breastfeeding can be great for weight loss, but if you give into the hunger and the famine and the cravings, you have to watch it as well, of not to overeat.
I feel like my cravings, they are definitely real, and they're also, like you said, really different than when I was pregnant.
Right, totally.
I wanted a lot of like junky food while I was pregnant, a lot of like ice cream and really fattening things. And then afterwards, I would go through periods after I had the baby for the first time in months where I really craved kind of like weirdly clean foods. Like I would really want a salad with a lot of vegetables on it sometimes, which I never really craved when I was pregnant. It's like you're a whole different person, but you know, whatever the baby needs, it's all sacrifice.
So just so you know, you might be super hungry when you're breastfeeding.
Number 4 is that fitting into clothes is a whole process. That was one of the most jarring things that I didn't really hear a lot of people about, because you see people super pregnant and then you see them several months later being skinny with a baby.
Exactly.
And it's like, what happened in between there?
A lot happened in between that period of time. And I think it's 9 months on, 9 months off, which means it takes you 9 months to put the weight on and 9 months to get it off. But my advice is, it's a process, just like Jen said. What happens with your body and my body might be the same, it might be totally different, so don't compare.
Well, I think for me, when I got home from the hospital, I still looked about 7 months pregnant. Like, it was still very...
I know. The skin
and
everything.
that's like 3rd trimester pregnant. That's like the big stage of pregnancy.
I know. They say it's 4 trimesters. Like the last 3 months is the 3 months after you give birth, because your body is still in such shock. Your hormones aren't back and they're dropping, and just everything. Your hair, like we said, your hair, your
hair's dropping.
Everything. It's a whole process.
Yes.
So
Yep.
give yourself a break.
Number 5. Not everybody screams in labor.
It's not like the movies or a TV show. It's really not. I mean, yes, I did have some moments I went into labor on with Gray. My first time actually out of all 3 actually going into labor, which was very difficult and very painful. But it's not like it is in the movies. It's not like it is on the TV show where you're like, ah! I mean, for some of you out there, it might be, but for us, listen, it's hard. It's really, really painful, but it's just not what you think in the movies.
You know, I think in the movies also, everything looks like it happens so quickly. And I don't know what your experience was, but for me, it was a long process, like over a day. And I didn't get to eat while I was already in the hospital. So you're just like waiting there and breathing through contractions, but just like, it's a lot waiting.
It's a lot of waiting. I mean, sometimes it can go quickly. I think for me, when it did go quickly, it went quickly. Like, okay, let's do this.
Same.
But up until a while, you're like, okay, all right.
I know you waited for 9, 10 months, and then on the day,
I know.
You still have to wait some more.
Okay, I'll take number 6. So it's baby blues versus postpartum, right? There's a little bit of a difference. For me, I didn't really have postpartum in terms of like, I didn't have to take medication. I didn't have really any bad thoughts. On the other hand, the baby blues are real. I've especially experienced it with Gray, to the point where I actually asked one of my doctors about it, because I'm like, I have a lot of anxiety. I am worried all the time something's gonna happen to the baby. My dreams of my teeth, I have this weird dream that I have had since college.
Your teeth fall out.
That my teeth fall out.
I've heard like many moms say this.
And so when I went to my doctor's appointment a couple of weeks ago, I said, I've been having these bad thoughts and these bad dreams. And she just said, it's baby blues. It's just your hormones. And it is real. Even though you don't want it to be real, it is real. And there's a certain kind of sadness, and you don't know why you're kind of sad. I don't know. Maybe it's you're overtired. Maybe it's you're not eating enough, or just like that blah feeling. The worst part of my baby blues is probably the last month. I'm on 3.5 months right now, and I definitely think my endorphins have worn off, where I'm like, this is amazing, da-da-da-da, where it's like, okay, this is really hard.
When you're pregnant, the placenta is making all of these extra hormones in your body, and your body learns to adjust to that. But then when you have the baby, all of a sudden the placenta leaves your body completely right away. And so it's like, it's like when you are on a certain kind of drug and then you have withdrawals. You have like placenta withdrawals.
It's true.
And so I feel like baby blues is something that literally every mom that just had a baby goes through. Like physically, you can't help it. Everybody gets crazy.
If you have those thoughts, definitely talk to your doctor. And it can be just the blues, or it could be more serious. And And either way, I think what we're trying to say that those thoughts are real and those feelings are real and it's okay.
Yeah, you shouldn't be hard on yourself for it.
Right.
But, you know, also be aware if it gets past like about 3-4 months, if they're getting in the way of you taking care of your baby or hurting yourself,
right,
then
then
you
definitely
should
talk to a friend,
doctor.
talk to a doctor, and really reach out. And I think, you know, try to say and tell them exactly what you're feeling the best that you
be honest
can
about
explain it. I know, we always try to like hide it.
Babies can sleep through the night?
Yes, they can.
Really? You hear all of these stories like, oh, my baby, they were sleeping through the night when they were 2 weeks out of the womb. I have just like a unicorn baby. Oh, you know, we just did some very gentle patting when they were 4 months old and they slept for 12 hours. And I was like, what's wrong with my baby that she can't do that?
Every baby is different. I'm on my third, and I can tell you, Brooks was harder than Scarlett. Scarlett is easier than Gray. They're all different. And I have to say, they will, at one point, sleep through the night. You might have to have the gentle pat. You might have to go lock yourself in a closet with a glass of wine and put on earplugs for exactly 30 minutes. But they will sleep through the night eventually.
I think that when ARIA first did, I was like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I know.
Like, is this really happening? But you know what? She's 9 months old now. I put her down at 8. She is asleep until 8 in the morning.
And there you go.
And now I can be that mom that's like, my baby finally sleeps through the night. Not everyone goes into labor on time. I don't know if any of you guys were following my social media when it was around the time that I was supposed to give birth, but my due date was about to come and I was like, oh, I need to like stay in to make sure I don't spontaneously go into labor in the grocery store. And then the days got closer and closer.
Well, my mom kept saying on all 3 babies, you're gonna go into labor. You can't go. You're gonna go into, with Gray, you're gonna go into labor. Believe it or not, Gray was the first time I actually went into labor before my due date. So my mom was right. On number 3, she was flying here, and by the time they landed during baggage claim, we FaceTimed them in recovery, and I had gone into labor before my due date. So
that's crazy.
It's never on time. I mean, it's sometimes before, it's sometimes after. It's just a super anxious period around that time.
I know. By the time it was my actual due date, when that day came and passed, I was so depressed. Because at that point, you're like, I have waited such a long time. I'm so uncomfortable. I just want the baby out.
Which leads us
to number 9. Things
don't always go as planned. It's just true. So your birth plan, whatever it is, C-section, natural, have a plan and then be okay with throwing it out the window.
You think if you like take all of these classes and really like prepare yourself and like maybe learn some breathing techniques or like pain management. The biggest thing I've heard from my girlfriends when it comes to like their disappointments in their labor is that they had too many expectations and then it never works out, you know? Like, I want to go all natural, no medicines, no nothing, and then when they they're
in surgery in the C-section and they
feel disappointed. They feel like it's their fault.
And it's not your fault.
It's not.
And I think the one thing you do is you have to trust your instinct. First and foremost, if you feel something's wrong or you feel something's right, whatever it is, tell your doctor. Like, I know a lot of situations where, you know, they're like, I feel this. And you're like, oh, you're fine. And you're like, no, I feel this. Like, my girlfriend was like, I am having this baby. The nurse was like, you're not having the baby. She had the baby in the waiting room in the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Clearly that nurse is no longer employed with that hospital, but she knew it was happening. So I think, you know, some things will go as planned and some things, like I went into labor, I didn't know that I was gonna have the baby. I just remember when I would be like, are you gonna show me the babies? The nurses, like, when they take him out, are they gonna let me hold him? Are they gonna let me, you know, see him? Absolutely, they're gonna let you. I have had 3 babies. Not one of those nurses have ever brought them over before they checked that baby. It's a little bit of a pitfall we all do. We all you know, we want it to be this or we want it to be that, and then when it's not, we forget, like, at the end of the day, you get the prize, you get the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So however you get it, just, it's okay.
Last but not least, okay, this one I just had to add, like, it's such an important thing, is you get so thirsty.
It is a thirst, like you feel like you have been in a desert walking for 10 hours. Every hour you have to drink water after you have that baby. Something, I mean, like, I hate water. I've talked about this in many videos.
I'm not a big water drinker either.
I hate it. I have to trick myself. I have to drink more water through a straw. After pregnancy, I do not have to. You are so thirsty.
I will wake up in the middle of the night and my throat will feel completely parched. Your skin gets really dry. Did that happen for you?
Totally.
My skin got super dry. My skin type completely changed after I had a baby. And it's like, no matter how much water you drink,
you are still thirsty.
You're still thirsty.
I hate water and I crave it. I still crave it. He's 3.5 months old. I still have to have it. I have a glass, which is why we're talking about it right here, because I'm constantly thirsty.
You know what? At the end of the day, no matter how unpredictable everything is, and all of these things you can discover for the first time, like you said, it's so worth it.
It's so worth it.
Because we have our babies, and that's something I also didn't know until after I had my baby, is just how awesome it is.
I know.
I say all the time, have I ever been this joyful in my life?
I know.
Before I had her?
And I think you don't realize, and my mom always used to say this to me, she's like, you'll never know how much I love you. You will never realize how you could love one little thing so much. And you do.
You do.
And then you think the other one comes along, well, I'm not going to love him as much as I love her. And then the other one comes along and you love it just as much. And it's weird. It's like it's so beautiful. And I hope, you know, if you want this to happen to you and you get that, then you truly are lucky.
Well, thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
Molly, for doing this video with me. Make sure you guys go over to her YouTube channel. She has so much amazing mom content over there. Go subscribe to her channel. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos.
Thank you.
This is Jen and Molly, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.